Hello, everyone. The issue of GDPR and data protection generally is increasingly a cause for concern for our clients in the mobility space. What should be a basic regulatory compliance issue is frequently a source of stress. And understanding roles and responsibilities for all parties involved has become time-consuming. And let's face it, there are way more interesting things for us all to focus on. But recognizing how vital data protection is, we wanted to bring you a brief lowdown on this topic. I'm joined today by two of Crown's most long-standing and knowledgeable team members, Gary Maguire, our Chief Risk Officer, and Chris Davis-Pyett, our Group VP for IT, to take a closer look. Gary, thank you so much for joining us. Firstly, could you give me a brief overview of what GDPR is and why mobility teams need to understand it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the EU General Data Protection Regulation is a comprehensive data protection law that standardizes data privacy laws across Europe with the main objective of protecting EU citizens' data privacy and the way organizations can process their data. So it's currently considered the gold standard of data protection regulations around the world. And the reason it's important is because it provides a single set of rules for all the EU member states, and that replaces kind of individual country laws that they had historically speaking.
Yeah.
And the law applies to all organizations operating within the EU, as well as those outside the EU that handle EU citizens' data. And so what it does, it enhances their control over their personal data with requirements for data protection by default and design when you're talking about your system side of things. So just very quickly, just in a nutshell, there's rights that come along with the EU GDPR when you are a private individual. So you have the right to be informed, and for Crown, that takes the form of our informed consent that we provide to them. They have the right to access their data. So individuals have a right to understand what data we have on them and how we're processing it. They have the right to rectify their data. So if there's anything that is not correct or is inaccurate, they have the right to rectify that. And they also have the right to be forgotten. So at the end of services, once services are done, it's not really a right they need to exercise with us. Crown cleanses our systems as far as that personal data is concerned once we're done delivering services as much as we possibly can, understanding that we may need to provide reports to clients that may have some of that data, but we're looking to keep that to very much a minimum.
Wonderful.
Right? Now, can I just mention, I think probably the one thing that's very important to understand is that the EU GDPR also introduces very large fines. So what you're looking at as an organization is you can look at fines up to 4% of your global annual turnover for any organizations that fail to adhere to that regulation. So it really does have some teeth to it.
Right.
And I guess the only other thing that I would mention is, it's crucial to ensure that our organization is compliant with GDPR to avoid the potential fines that I just mentioned. And it's important to understand that our world mobility clients have high expectations when it comes to Crown or any company having strong data privacy systems and procedures in place to protect the data of their employees, which they provide to Crown to enable us to provide the contracted services. So if we're not able to demonstrate strong performance in this area, it can prevent Crown from being selected to provide services by a client.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Gary. So, Chris, thanks for joining us. You are our VP for IT, Group VP for IT. And obviously, as a relocation provider, we collate a lot of data. That's a big part of what we do. So I'm wondering if you can elaborate a bit for me on how we work with that data, and if you can give us an overview of how we approach this in terms of the training that we do with our staff and the rules that we have in place to ensure compliance.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Caitlin. So from a training perspective, then we have mandatory annual training on both data privacy and IT security. And the things that we're covering there are concepts around data privacy with a particular focus on GDPR, other data protection laws and lawful uses of data and how to properly handle data, definition of personally identifiable information, the requirement to have informed consent from our customers delivering services to them, and also the rights that everybody has with respect to their own data, such as the right to know what we hold about them, the right to correct that data, to be able to get a copy of that data and take it with them, and of course the right to be forgotten as well. Other things we train on are the consequences of mishandling data, or data breaches in terms of the impact that can have on Crown, our employees and our clients. We teach about properly classifying data, and how to properly report incidents or potential incidents on our ethics and compliance hotline. And the last area that we do is our computer acceptable use policy, which covers basic items such as not sharing passwords, changing passwords regularly, protecting mobile devices, and the allowable use of the internet, for example. The other technical controls and organizational controls that we have in place, big one is our ISO 27001 certification. So that requires Crown to maintain and operate an information security management system that documents several key aspects of information security, including the organization of the information security function, human resources security, asset management, access control, cryptography, physical security, et cetera, et cetera. So some of the things that we do is we have appropriate background checks depending on the laws in various countries. We operate a least privilege and need to know regime for the access that people have to our systems. Clean desk policy to ensure that documents are being cleared away at the end of the day or in use. We encrypt all our data at rest and in transit. And we have secure backups and secure remote access with multi-factor authentication. And the list goes on. So there's quite a lot that we're doing to keep our clients' data safe and secure.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Chris. So a great sort of overview there from Chris and Gary as to how we manage this issue at Crown. I hope you will find that useful. Until next time.